Welcome to Global North. Please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon for more updates. I don't think people understand just how much the Trump-era tariffs have shaken up American manufacturing, especially for giants like John Deere. The Trump-era tariffs were introduced with the intention of protecting American manufacturing jobs and industries, aiming to give domestic companies a competitive edge against foreign imports. But for John Deere, the iconic American manufacturer of agricultural equipment, these tariffs have brought unexpected economic turmoil instead of relief. Rather than spurring growth and innovation, these policies have actually destabilized the agricultural sector, Deere's core market and the backbone of rural America. Farmers, already squeezed by falling crop prices and growing trade uncertainty, have been forced to pull back on buying new equipment, delaying upgrades and repairs. This has led to a sharp drop in John Deere's sales, forcing the company to cut back on production, lay off workers, and even close some plants, impacting entire communities. The tariffs, which were intended to help American workers, have instead hurt working-class families and iconic manufacturers like John Deere, deepening economic hardship in rural areas. When the U.S. imposed tariffs on steel and aluminum, other countries retaliated with their own tariffs on American agricultural exports, escalating the trade war. This left U.S. farmers at a significant disadvantage, slashing their incomes and making it even harder for them to invest in new machinery or maintain their operations. For John Deere, that meant its main customers, America's farmers, were suddenly under severe financial stress, unable to support the company as they once did. The result was a ripple effect of economic disruption, with John Deere and its workers caught in the crossfire of global trade tensions and policy decisions. The story of John Deere is a powerful example of how well-intentioned trade policies can backfire, causing more harm than good, not just for companies, but for entire communities and the broader economy. The fallout from the tariffs has hit John Deere's workforce hard. Since spring 2024, over 2,000 employees have been laid off as farmers delay or cancel equipment orders. This isn't just a Deere problem. Other manufacturers like Ford and GM have also slashed jobs, citing tariffs and rising costs. Critics argue that while executives may weather the storm, it's factory workers and their communities who suffer most. In many Midwest towns, a Deere layoff is a community crisis, hurting local businesses and eroding economic security. The loss of stable manufacturing jobs is reshaping the heartland, with consequences that reach far beyond the factory floor. The impact of the ongoing tariff war stretches far beyond just John Deere. It's a challenge that ripples across the entire American manufacturing sector, touching both iconic brands and smaller businesses alike. Major automakers like Ford and GM have reported billions of dollars in losses over recent years, directly blaming the increased costs of steel, aluminum, and imported parts. These higher expenses are not just numbers on a balance sheet, they translate into real-world consequences for operations and workers. These tariffs essentially act as a tax on production, squeezing already tight profit margins and forcing companies to make tough decisions. Many are now considering layoffs, reduced shifts, or even shutting down certain operations to stay afloat. The uncertainty created by these trade policies makes long-term planning and investment nearly impossible. Companies are hesitant to expand, stalling both growth and job creation and leaving entire communities in limbo. Critics argue that the tariffs have fostered a hostile business environment, hurting everyday workers and their families, while only a select few at the top seem to benefit from the changes. The struggles faced by Deere, Ford, and GM reveal a troubling pattern. Rather than reviving American manufacturing, these tariffs are fueling job losses, financial pain, and a sense of instability throughout the sector. Smaller suppliers, who depend on orders from these giants, are also feeling the pinch. With reduced demand, many are now fighting for survival, facing layoffs and closures of their own. In today's interconnected economy, a single policy decision can trigger a domino effect, destabilizing not just one company, but entire industries and the communities that rely on them. John Deere is preparing for tough times ahead. The company has forecast weaker profits for 2026, sending its stock tumbling and signaling a long-term challenge. Executives blame tariffs for shrinking margins on their most profitable equipment, especially large tractors and combines. Deere is cutting costs and shifting focus to more resilient divisions like construction and forestry, but the financial hit is severe. The company expects a $600 million pre-tax loss from tariffs in 2025 alone, with net income projections well below analyst expectations. With less capital for innovation, Deere's ability to lead in agricultural technology is at risk. The downturn threatens not just profits, but the pace of progress for farmers who rely on Deere's next-generation machinery. Across the heartland, American farmers are feeling the squeeze from persistently low crop prices and rising input costs, which is fundamentally changing the way they approach buying equipment for their operations. Instead of making large investments in brand new machinery, many are choosing to delay major purchases and are increasingly opting to rent or buy used equipment as a way to better manage financial risk and keep expenses under control during uncertain times. This significant shift in buying behavior has sharply reduced demand for Deere's latest, high-margin products, forcing the iconic company to rethink its strategies and adapt to a changing marketplace. The used equipment and rental markets are now expanding rapidly, providing Deere with new opportunities to generate revenue and maintain relationships with customers. To stay competitive, the company must now emphasize reliability, ongoing service, and support, not just the sale of new machines, to keep farmers loyal to the brand. For generations, owning a brand new Deere was a symbol of pride and success in rural communities. But today, more farmers are prioritizing value, flexibility, and practical solutions that fit their budgets. Deere's challenge is to keep customers engaged and loyal within its ecosystem, even as their buying habits and expectations continue to evolve with the times. The company's future success will depend on how well it can meet these new demands, while also weathering the broader economic storms and uncertainties facing the agricultural industry today. To survive, John Deere is rethinking its business. The company is considering shifting some manufacturing to reduce tariff exposure and cut costs. Deere is also raising prices, a risky move in a weak market, but necessary to protect margins. A major focus is expanding its certified used equipment program, capturing customers priced out of new machinery. Recent growth in construction and small agriculture segments offers hope, even as large ag sales slump. Meanwhile, Canadian manufacturers spared from U.S. tariffs are thriving, highlighting how much Deere's pain is policy-driven. The contrast underscores that the crisis is not global, but rooted in specific trade decisions. John Deere's struggles are a cautionary tale about the unintended consequences of protectionist trade policies. Instead of reviving American manufacturing, tariffs have triggered layoffs, losses, and instability across key industries. The pain isn't limited to Deere. Ford, GM, and countless suppliers are also suffering. Meanwhile, Canada's agricultural sector remains stable, showing the damage here was not inevitable. The lesson in a global economy: trade barriers can backfire, hurting the very workers they're meant to protect. The result is a weaker manufacturing base and a more uncertain future for American workers. John Deere's story is a stark reminder of the risks in crafting trade policy without considering the full economic ripple effects.